Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I will be ranking every single Stephen King book I've read and owned, own currently. So some of these won't be on there that I've already read, but because I don't own them. I didn't have these in order. My least favorite, for my least favorite, Salem's Lot. That's backwards on here, but it's Salem's Lot. My main issue with this book was the writing. It just did not feel like Stephen King. People said it's really scary. Was not scared at all. Found it to be really stupid. This one probably is like a 4 out of 10 for me. So there was some redeeming qualities. I like the character writing. Other than that, not that good. Next, my second least favorite, is The Dark Half. I could not tell you a single thing that happens in this book. I just can't. This one's also 4 out of 10. Like, I just remember the doppelganger. The pen name coming alive. I just remember that. The Regulators. I don't know why. I just could not. Like, I got through it, but by the end, I just hated it. Like, the characters were really, really stupid in my eyes, and it just wasn't that good. Like, the scene when the Regulators, or whatever they're called, first come into town. Just stay in your house. Don't try to run out there. Okay. My fourth least favorite is Revival. There's a good book in here. Dark Half is also 4. Regulators was like a 5, probably. 4 or 5. Revival. There's a good book in here. I just didn't like it that much. Like, I liked everything up until like the last 100 or so pages. Then it just kind of fell off. The ending, people say it's one of his best and most disturbing. I didn't get that. Next up, these books coming up are ones I really, really enjoyed, but are not my favorites. I have 2 piles of that. Eyes of the Dragon. Really, really good. Just not for me. Like, I get he wrote it for his kid. I liked it. It's not as bad as people say it is. It's just, I like the Dark Tower ties, which we'll be talking about the Dark Tower. I don't have the series on me. I'm rating that as one giant thing. Yeah, really good book. Recommend it. Probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Lisey's Story. I do understand the hate for this one. It's long, it's kind of boring, and some of the dialogue is just cringe-inducing. But once I got to like the end area, holy crap, the book started getting good around like halfway, around like this point. Other than that, I don't really remember much. I just liked the killer as well. The can opener scene, if you know it, had me cringing. I really don't have these in order. I don't have a lot of these in order. I'm just putting these, other than my least favorites, those are in order. I hate those books. Well, I don't hate them. They have good stuff in them. It's just not the best Stephen King has to offer. Dolores Claiborne. I love how this book is written. It's just a bit long, even though it's really, really short. It's only 301 pages. It's still dragged a little bit. Not by, like, holy crap, this is gonna take forever. It's just the stuff with Dolores taking care of the old lady. I do not care for. The poop scene, in particular. Next up. Actually, I'm gonna switch this up. Desperation. This is one of my favorites. I remember it being one of my favorites. I don't remember that much about it, though. I just remember I really, really liked it, and after I saw the movie Evil Dead, it reminded me a lot of Desperation, even though Evil Dead came out before. This is actually the sister book to The Regulators, and yeah, I liked the characters more in Desperation, because it's like, what would you do if there was a psychotic police officer or monster thing? I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, read it if you can. Next up, Holly. Now, Holly, I don't understand the hate. Like, I liked all the COVID stuff in it. Like, most of the COVID stuff was really good. I feel like it tied into the horror of like what would happen if there was a serial killer during COVID. Granted, this is like after COVID, but still, amazing book. Highly recommend it. Most of these are now like 9 out of 10s. Rose Matter. It's my battered up copy that I got from a used bookstore. Fantastic. The main villain stuck with me. I don't know why he stuck with me as much as he did. He was terrifying. And his abusiveness also really got to me. Yeah, highly recommend Rose Matter. I actually might read this one again soon. Alright, next up, we have ones I really, really enjoyed, but are not my favorites. First up, Firestarter. Probably Firestarter. These next two. Firestarter and the next one. Getting really switched depending on my mood. I read this one, I read really fast in general. But this one took me exactly a week to go and read. Same with a longer one that's coming up. But, yeah, no, I loved Rose Matter. It was amazing. Next up, The Dead Zone. Fantastic story. This is a very old copy. I thought it was going to fall apart as I was reading it. It luckily did not. But this is one of those where I think the movie is almost as good as the book. Greg Stilston, I don't remember his name. Greg something. He reminds me a lot of Trump, to be honest. A lot of stuff Trump's doing currently. Not to get political. A lot like Greg Stilston. Next up, with our probably controversial pick. It. I like this book. But the reason why I don't like it is I have some bad memories attached to it. It's still, I think, one of the greatest horror novels ever written. Like, story-wise. It's just, in my eyes, it's just a bit long. Could have been separated into 2 books. Granted, the continuity wouldn't really make sense to split it up into the adult and child into 2 books. Some scenes would not make sense then. But other than that, amazing book. Yeah, these are the ones I think are almost perfect. Thinner. Fun fact, I read this while I was at a mental institution. But no. This book, since I had nothing to do, I got really immersed, and I just loved this one. It was scary, and I don't really get scared by supernatural stuff, which is my issue with it as well. Wasn't really scared of Pennywise. I was more scared of the bullies, because they could be real. Yeah. Amazing book. Read it in probably like 3 days there. Next up, Pet Sematary. I did a essay on this book. I don't even remember what the essay was about. I just think I was just talking about how good it was for the most part, and like analyzing I think it was a character study kind of thing on Lewis. And this book, even though it's supernatural stuff, also scared the living shit out of me. Because even though I'm not a parent, I'm too young to be a parent. Well, I technically could be, but no. Even then, the stuff, if you know, you know, in this book, parenthood and stuff, genuinely terrifying, even for me. Needful Things. I don't understand this copy. I asked for hardcover and they gave me this thing. Really, really good book. Drags a little bit. I can understand why people don't like the ending. Bastard of the Dark Tower. I loved the ending. That's one of my favorite tropes near the end. I'm not gonna say what, because you haven't read it, but I'll probably spoil a couple plot points in these. Yeah. Next up, books I think are perfect or almost perfect, like Needful Things. Gerald's Game. Terrifying premise. Terrifying premise. Just the whole thing of just being trapped and there's someone in the house with you and you don't know if they're real or not because you're slowly going insane. Just got me. And the one scene near the end, I had to stop reading that like halfway through that scene. I just put my bookmark in around that point, close the book, set it aside. Next up, we have Blaze. I've not read Of Mice and Men, but from what I've heard, this is a tribute to Of Mice and Men. Loved it. This had me crying at the end. Just, like, I don't really cry when I read novels. But this one had me bawling my eyes out, and it can show Stephen King, like with Pet Sematary, can have some really sympathetic moments. Next up. This book I just finished recently. And actually, I'm gonna say this one. This one might... I'm conflicted on this one. Let's just talk about it now. The Talisman. I don't understand the hate. I loved it. It's the copy I have is 925 pages. Read that in a week. Like, exactly 1 week. Like, holy crap. Like, I love this book. I just love all the characters. The ending I was kind of iffy on. But, like, everything leading up to the Talisman, to getting the Talisman, is just an amazing road trip adventure. Next up, 2 more left. Under the Dome. I don't know what to say about this one. I loved every single moment of it. There was some slow moments, but I felt like it was realistic, even though it's fictional. Like, yeah, giant dome going over an entire town. That couldn't happen. Never in a million years. But this one did it. For me. Like, the corrupt politician. I hate him. Okay. These are my top 2. Then we're going to talk about short story collections. I've not finished any short story collections. I'm just going to rank them based on what I've read. The Long Walk is my number 2 favorite book. I don't know how he did this book. I don't know how I found this book as entertaining as it was. It's just walking. The whole book is just, spoiler, the whole book is just walking. And it somehow is so entertaining. Where I read this in a day, I'm pretty sure. Not this copy, but a different copy, but I read this one in like a day when I first read this one. Okay, my favorite book? Actually, no, there's one more, which is the Dark Tower series. I forgot to cover that. That is actually my second favorite. The whole series. Minus Wizard and Glass. Yeah, the reason why I don't like Wizard and Glass is mainly because it's just 900 pages of backstory for Roland. I already liked Roland's character up at that point. I do not need backstory. Plus, in general, I don't really like prequels or whatever, and that, even though it does continue the Path of the Beam, I just want the story to continue on the Path of the Beam. Then give me and then just give me his backstory for like a side book or whatever. Okay, my first book. Well, not my first. No. My favorite of all time is probably Misery. This book still scares me. Every single time I read it, Annie Wilkes scares me. This whole book feels like it could happen, word for word. word for word. And just the hobbling scene. I saw the movie before I read this book, and I was like, oh, it's not going to be that bad in the book. That's another scene where I had to pause my reading just to get through it. And I don't get squeamish that often. This did it for me. This is his best work. Scary as hell. Could happen. Which, like I said, I don't really like fictional monsters. I like real world monsters. This is my number one. Okay. First up, in my opinion, the weakest short story collection, which I haven't finished any of these, it could get better. Night Shift. Not bad. It's not bad. I'm only on Night Surf, page 53. I've read a couple of these stories before, but Jerusalem's Lot, I don't like Salem's Lot, so just backstory for a book I already don't like. I do not like. Graveyard Shift, loved it, but too short. Yeah, that can go anywhere, right? Next up, Everything's Eventual. I am on Little Sisters of Aloria. No, I'm on Everything's Eventual, actually. I thought I was on Little Sisters of Aloria. I don't remember that one. This one is good. It's just... I think it does have one of his better stories, which is... I think it's Autopsy Room 4 or The Death of Jack Hamilton. Let me check real quick. Yes, it's Autopsy Room 4. That one is terrifying. It's about a man who gets trapped. Well, I'm not gonna say what happens, but he thinks he's dead and he's just awake on this autopsy table, and they keep on prolonging the inevitable of cutting him open, and it's terrifying. Next up, we have his newest book currently, You Like It Darker. I am about that far in, which you probably don't know how far that is in, but I am page 276. I'm on red screen. I'm waiting to read Cujo because there's a sequel to Cujo in this one, but I really liked it. There's really good stories in it. Danny Callahan's Bad Dream, on Sidon Road. I know which one I'm thinking of. I just do not remember the premise, but there's another really good one in here from what I've read. Yeah, recommend this one. And my number one, I have not read all the stories in this one, but I have memories attached to one of the short stories in this one, which is Skeleton Crew. I am only 200 pages in, and in general, everything I've read, other than the monkey, I didn't really like the monkey, was really good. The Mist, this is why I'm extremely biased for this one. The Mist was the first Stephen King thing I have ever read. Just ever. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I read that, then The Stand, which I think I have a copy of The Stand somewhere in my room, but it's broken, so we're not going to count that one. That one would probably be right after it for me. Yeah. He is one of the best authors of all time. I think there is some authors that come close that are newer, but yeah. See you guys later in 10 more months.